So in the last video, we have seen a short introduction to thermal physics. Now it will be interesting to take a journey to examine the timeline of how we came to understand the properties of gases. Like I mentioned earlier, thermodynamics began to take shape in the 17th and 18th centuries, especially with the rise of industrial revolution. The invention and improvement of the steam engine forced scientists to think deeply about how heat could be converted into work, and this led to the early ideas of energy conservation and efficiency. Alongside this, experiments on gases produced simple mathematical rules, culminating in the final ideal gas law, which is PV is equal to nRT. By the mid 19th century, the ideal gas law was well established and people could describe gases mathematically with some confidence. But when gases were pushed to very high pressures or cooled near liquefaction, this law broke down and no one understood why. There were several unanswered questions. What was the distinction between gases and liquids? Why did some gases liquefy under compression but others resisted all attempts? Was there a fundamental difference between gases and liquids, or were they simply states of the same substance? All of this was answered by an Irish chemist and physicist, Thomas Andrews. He came up with Andrews' experiments on carbon dioxide, which helped to answer all these questions. Now, I mentioned liquefaction earlier. So, what is the importance of liquefaction? I want to tell you this particular thing. Liquefaction was an important role in the 19th century because understanding how to turn these gases into liquids had both scientific as well as practical value. So, what happens when a gas is liquefied? It becomes far more compact, which means it will be easier to store or transport, and this will open up many technological possibilities. Today, the principle is everywhere around us. Liquefied petroleum gas, also known as LPG, is stored under pressure in cylinders for cooking and heating. Carbon dioxide is liquefied and kept in fire extinguishers, ready to smother flames when released. In modern science and technology, liquefaction has gone even further. Cryogenics uses liquid oxygen, nitrogen, and helium to reach extremely low temperatures for research as well as medical applications. In space exploration, liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen are used as powerful rocket fuels, and satellites rely on liquefied gases for cooling sensitive instruments. So, this is to serve as a point that liquefaction is so significant to us in our current day-to-day life, and the theory which governs liquefaction was developed, or Thomas Andrews was the person who helped to develop the theory for all these through his experiments on carbon dioxide. Coming to the experiment by Andrews on carbon dioxide to answer all these questions about the properties of gases. Why was carbon dioxide used? It was easy to work with at moderate pressures and temperatures. Now, what was the aim of this experiment? Andrews wanted to draw pressure volume isothermals. This is not something new to us. We are familiar with isothermals. So, what does isothermal mean? The temperature is kept a constant. So, he needed a setup where he had a way to control the temperature of the gas while the pressure is changed. Therefore, the isothermal part will be taken care of. And a way to apply very high pressures. You have to draw PV diagrams. So, we need pressure values. So, we need to change the pressure values and we need very high pressures as well, and a way to accurately measure the gas volume. To draw PV diagram, we also need volume, right? So he also needed a way to accurately measure the gas volume inside the tube. So he developed a very ingenious setup that helped him achieve all his aims. So he used two sealed glass tubes, A and B. One was filled with air and the other was filled with carbon dioxide. And they were dipped in mercury at the bottom. Now, why do you have two tubes, A and B? Because it's an experiment on carbon dioxide, right? But the air tube acted actually as a reference because air was assumed to follow Boyle's law, so its pressure could be calculated very easily. So, this is the ingenuity of Andrews's experiment. He did not have an instrument to measure these high pressures, so he used air as a standard material which could from which he could read the pressure which is being applied to carbon dioxide. Now the tube B was filled with carbon dioxide, which was the test sample. These tubes were fixed inside a copper vessel filled with water, and by turning the screw plunger here, Andrews could squeeze the water, which in turn compressed the gases inside the tubes. This is how he changed the pressure. With this method, he could reach pressures as high as 400 atmospheres. The volume. How did he read the volume? It can be read very directly from one tube. And pressure, it was calculated using the reference air tube. And in order to control the temperature, the whole system was kept in water baths that could be adjusted between 0 and 100 degrees Celsius. Andrews measured the behavior of carbon dioxide at several fixed temperatures, and from this he drew his famous isothermal curves.